Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm just going to do a nice little quick video because I kind of want to talk about how everybody is just becoming immediately complacent now that Joe Biden assumably has become the president. I believe that basically every major outlet has called Biden, or has said that Biden has won the presidency, and basically everybody is just immediately assuming that everything is going to be fine and Trump is just going to leave. Now, for those of you who are watching in the future and already know the outcome of this, right now, Donald Trump is claiming that he won. He released a tweet at midnight last night while I was completely asleep, saying, "I won," basically in great big bold letters. So he's calling it for himself, and basically every other outlet has called it for Biden. Oh, and I also have puppies in the background, as usual. So what ended up happening pretty much immediately is a bunch of the Biden bros and a bunch of the liberals and TYT specifically, Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, all of those people, they immediately jump into his mentions and start, gloating. "You aren't the president, you fucking suck, and you're not a real president, you're terrible," and all these things. And basically just laughing at him, making this into like a big farce and a big joke. And it's not. The thing is that everybody in that sphere constantly uses mockery and derision against their opponents. They constantly use mockery and derision against their opponents, and they always end up with the exact same outcome. Their opponents end up winning because they underestimate their opponents every single time. This is exactly what happened in 2016 when they thought that Donald Trump was a big joke in the first place. All they did was just say how much of a fool he was, and he won. It, in fact, emboldened a lot of the people that were in his base to go out and vote for him. Because when you see this guy that's kind of sort of acting like a regular person who's fucking up and doing dumb shit, when you see them out doing those sorts of things, and then you have a bunch of liberals jumping in and mocking them for doing what is essentially what a normal person would do, a lot of normal people look at that as being completely unreasonable. And they just think that whoever is doing that sort of thing is an elitist, and they think they're better than them. So it would push a lot of people to actually go out and fight for that candidate. In this case, in the case of Donald Trump, a lot of his support came from that exact thing. How Donald Trump was able to make himself look like an outsider, even though he was an insider. He was the world's biggest insider. But yeah, like I was saying, people like Cenk Uygur, people like a bunch of other liberals from TYT, they immediately jump in and they start making jokes and they start treating this as though it isn't a real threat. And you should always treat anything like this as a real threat until you know for sure what the actual outcome is. You're a horrible tactician if you believe that you've won the battle before you've actually won the battle, and you could end up being taken out at any time after that. It's just not reasonable. And in history, a lot of times when you think you know the outcome of this sort of thing, it ends up going the opposite direction because, well, most of the time throughout history, there hasn't been a real, peaceful transition of power from one dictator to another. And who knows what's going to happen here. I just don't think that we should be making the argument right now that everything is fine and that everybody should just go back to sleep. You have a real threat looking at you in that White House, right? So if you honestly believe that Trump is that neo-fascist that everybody says that he is, and if you honestly believe that he is such a big threat, then I don't understand why you have immediately started just flipping on your backs and showing your underbellies before you're even positive that he's gone. So keep your powder dry, gentlemen. Try not to assume that you've won the battle before the battle has even really begun. And I just need to say that there are a lot of people out there that are willing to fight very hard for this guy, right? We've just seen in the last couple of hours with the, I think it was the Million Maggot March, those people were going around attacking, assaulting all kinds of people, disabled people, they were macing them. They're sucker punching people in the back of the head who just happened to have been standing around at the protests. There's lots and lots of videos of this. I actually linked to a couple of them in my Twitter. Just check out all the links in the description box below. You can find my Twitter down there. And you can see, I've linked to a couple of videos where these Proud Boys, who are basically Donald Trump's gang now, have gone out and assaulted and attacked people. If Donald Trump says that he's still the president, then all of those maggots are going to still fight for him as though he is the president. And if the Biden... This is a lose-lose situation. I have to, stress that, and I don't know if I can stress that enough. If Donald Trump doesn't leave the White House, then you still have the Cheeto in the White House, and he's doing all of the terrible things, and fascism continues, and his gang, has the ability to have their figurehead as the president, so that emboldens them quite a bit. If he leaves the White House, and he is not thrown in prison, because, a lot of politicians don't believe that the president should be able to be thrown in prison because it sets a horrible precedent. So then he ends up in some sort of limbo situation where he's not actually going to be convicted for any of the crimes that he's committed or could commit in the future. And that would embolden fascism and his base of those Proud Boys and all of the other white nationalists and that sort of thing. And if he does end up being convicted and does go to prison, well, then you have the same sort of situation that you've had many times in history where the dear leader ends up in a prison and he becomes even more of a martyr, probably writes some sort of book, and then comes out and becomes a dictatorial fascist warlord and takes control of the country in a more sophisticated, organized way. So, or leads to another leader, looking at him as the martyr and taking that as a reason to take their own kind of power, using that as like a springboard for momentum and that sort of thing. So there's no real good situation that comes out of this. There's no real winning situation that comes out of this. And I don't really want to be a doomer, obviously. Our job as socialists, as leftists, as anarchists, is concerned, our job is exactly the same. We have to continue to fight the battle. The fascists were there the entire time. They're going to be there after Trump does or doesn't do a coup. They were going to be there if Biden was going to be the president regardless. So we still have to keep doing what we need to do, and you all know what that is. That's educate, organize, get out in the streets, get active, and start trying to spread that class consciousness, because that's the way that we win. As far as the whole electoral system goes and the leadership struggle goes, though, this is a big one, right? This is a big deal. There are a lot of people at play here. There are a lot of major powers at play, and you can already see that a lot of people are losing. A lot of people that used to be supporting Trump are actually not supporting Trump anymore. And a lot of big name players like Twitter and Facebook and Google and other tech companies, they're not playing ball with Trump either. They're censoring his tweets, and they're trying to kind of not necessarily silence what he says, because they make a lot of money off of what he says, but they're definitely not in his court. So yeah, very interesting. Anyway, tell me in the comment section down below what you think about this. I really want to know what you think, and I'll probably jump down there and have some conversations with y'all. And make sure that you check out all of the links in the description box below. Hit the little bell button, because you know that they're not going to tell you when I release a new video. Make sure you're subscribed, because they're unsubscribing people every single day. And check out my merch store. I updated a few t-shirts down there. You can get a Re-Education Camp official t-shirt, because I have a capitalist business, so therefore I am a capitalist now. I was lying to you the entire time. So go check out my capitalist store. Need money to survive. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day.